So it's very exciting, very exciting. We had launched in some parts of Turkey for the election, and then and now we're fully launched. So it's very exciting. So describe for me the latest situation on the ground in the Turkmen mountains and what's happening there.
After the intervention of the Russians, the regime benefited from the cover of the Russian warplanes, especially when the Russians used phosphor bombs, cluster bombs, and used missiles against the civilians, especially in the Turkmen mountain. So some of the regime troops coordinating with the Shia militia targeted the Turkmen mountain and could take some villages. 50% of the Turkmen mountain, as well as the Kurdish mountain, it's very close to Turkmen mountain, is being invaded by the regime troops now. So we are facing a lot of refugee waves toward Turkey border. But the battle is still going on. There are some support from Idlib to the Turkmens in the Turkmen mountain. And we hope this battle will be finished soon in the benefit for the Turkmens there.
50%, you said, is now under the control of Assad forces. What do these strikes look at? Homes, villages destroyed, any casualties, and
the most casualties from the civilian side, unfortunately, but we have some casualties from the fighters also. So what we are facing there is humanitarian crisis at the first level. Then we have some lack of support because still the regime warplanes have the superiority in the battle. So, and we're still missing the anti-aircrafts, unfortunately. But even under this situation, the Turkmen fighters and the FSA are trying to regain the ground they missed.
What is the likelihood of that happening? You said 50% right now is now being controlled by the regime. What gains are being made by the opposition there?
Well,
and what are they specifically doing to recover that territory?
It's a battle, you know. At the first day, there were some progress from the regime side. Especially 1 month before the battle in the Turkmen mountain, the Iranians brought some fighters from Africa and from some places in Iraq and Iran, Hezbollah and the others. And the FSA started to say some African aspects in the battle, around 1,000 paramilitary fighters. So the battle started with those foreign fighters, again the Turkmens.
What specifically is the SNC doing now to help this situation?
We are coordinating from the Turkish side. The support 100% is coming from the Turkish side toward the Turkmens. Unfortunately, we don't have the capability to treat all the refugees on the borders, but we are coordinating with AFAD and with the military side, with the government, Turkish government, in order to handle the situation and contain the crisis on the border.
What diplomatic steps are being taken right now in terms of a dialogue with either the regime or perhaps Russia on this?
We don't have any kind of diplomatic talks with the Russians, but with the other opposition parties, including FSA, the other political opposition, NGOs, we are trying to have them gathered under one umbrella. Maybe the Riyadh Convention will help us to unify our position toward any possible negotiation with the regime. It might be at the beginning of the next year. So we, on the other hand, we are helping the FSA to gain more ground in Aleppo in order to move into Syria and have our civil administration in the area which is controlled now by ISIL. After defeating ISIL in Aleppo, our aim is to move towards Syria and reorganize the FSA again there and start our liberation again from the regime and from the Russians from that area.
Why is this happening now? I mean, this really blew up over the weekend, especially on Saturday. And what is, I mean, as a Turkmen, what is your reaction to all of this?
You know, it's not only the Turkmen area. All the cities in Syria now are being attacked by the Russians, by the same kind of bombs, by the same kind of atrocity and brutality. So we have more than 100 civil casualties in Deir ez-Zor, in Daraa, in Damascus, in Douma. And the Turkmens are being attacked not only in Jebel Turkmen, in Homs, in Damascus, in Daraa also. So it's a war against all the Syrians, not only the Turkmens. But as a Turkish origin, we have our Turkmen components in our coalition, and we're trying to support the Turkmens in order to relieve the situation in Turkmen Mountain.
Last but not least, what's the purpose of the Russian and Syrian airstrikes? Them specifically aiming for this area in the strikes?
The strategic goal is to have those mountains protected by the regime in order to ban the Free Syrian Army moving toward the coastal area. This is the strategic goal for the regime.
What is the situation looking like moving forward? What specific steps will you guys be taking to help this situation?
We'll try to keep our position very strong in the same area and defeat the Russians and the regime from Turkmen and Kurdish Mountain.
And how do you guys plan to accomplish that?
By providing the FSA and the Turkmens more support.